the World Healing Tour movement with your host, Noah Crane. Heal yourself, heal the world. Hello, and welcome to the World Healing Tour podcast, where our mission is to help you heal yourself so you can heal the world. Hi, my name is Noah Crane. Each week, we will bring you tips and tools and inspire you to live your most empowered and joyful life. I'm also the author of the book, The Grass is Greenest Where I Am, because the grass is greenest where you are when you say so. When you choose to live in a place of no comparison, no competition, and no scarcity. When you choose to live in your own love and light and share your unique gifts with the world, because we're all unique. And that's why it's called World Healing Tour. Because when you heal yourself, you truly create that ripple effect for others to heal as well. And we all truly need one another. Each week, I bring incredible people into studio that are doing incredible things in the world to pour into you and help you on your journey. I'm super excited about my guest today. Dr. Abbey Shulkin is a leading expert in weight loss and binge eating recovery, known for helping high-achieving women break free from emotional eating, body shame, and chronic diet cycles. With a doctorate in acupuncture and oriental medicine and over 2 decades of experience in integrative health and fitness and behavioral change, she creates the Life Shifts Weight Wellness System, a multi-layered lifestyle transformation program that empowers women to lose weight sustainably by rewiring mindset, behaviors, and emotional patterns from the inside out. Dr. Abbey Shulkin, welcome to the World Healing Tour podcast.
Thank you, Noah. Thank you for asking me to be on your podcast.
I'm so excited you're here, and I love your work. I think it's such important work. And why did you become so passionate about helping others with their weight loss?
It came from my own experience. First of all, I grew up with a mother who had an eating disorder and was obese. And as a child, I saw my mother getting heavier and heavier and heavier. And I was really afraid that the same thing was going to happen to me. And from the get-go, from the time I transitioned from a child to an adolescent, suddenly I realized I had a problem with food. I thought I was overweight when I was a normal weight, which started, you talk about manifesting, and what you focus on, you make happen. So even though I wasn't overweight, I thought I was. So I started going on these diets, and I don't know if you've had this experience before, Noah, or if any of the guests have had this experience, but when you go on a diet, you eventually go off a diet also. And sometimes you lose maybe, let's say, 10 pounds. And when you go off the diet, you gain back 12. But this is what happened to me, this cycle that went on from the time I was 12 until I was in my 20s. And I was miserable because I thought the secret to life would be being thin.
How old were you when that body image started? Like when you started looking at yourself and thinking, I'm overweight, and you really weren't, but you just started where do you think it came from, like that distorted image of yourself?
Well, it literally happened when I was 12 years old. People used to make fun of me, especially my brother. Like, my name is Abby, so quickly I became Flabby Abby. And it was in the 70s when the standard of beauty was to be very, very thin. And I was never like that.
Yeah, and it's really hard, especially when people make fun of us, and especially people that we have a close relationship with, right? And that must have made you feel really bad when he called you those kinds of names, and I'm sure you internalized it. Do you think it also hurt at the time your self-worth and how you felt about who you were just from that, what he did?
100%. And he kept telling me, oh, you're going to end up like Mom. And there I had my mother, who was a high-achieving woman with an amazing job. As a matter of fact, she was a psychiatric social worker, but she couldn't keep herself under control. And because of her weight, she was unhappy. Her relationship with my father wasn't good. And I was panic stricken to end up like that. So I would try everything on my own not to make that happen. But by trying so hard, I made the opposite happen than what I wanted.
Yeah, that makes sense. Why do you think that we're so hard on ourselves with our weight, that there's such a stigma about being a certain way? Like these days, for example, they want to have the big butts, the small waist, and the big thighs. I mean, that's what my daughter wants, right? The thin is not in anymore, right? But we put so much, there's such standards that society puts on us, and we literally let it control us. And it can cause so much pain and suffering, which it did in your case. And I'm sure hundreds of women out there, or thousands or millions that are watching this podcast.
Well, there is this book called Fat is a Feminist Issue. So I believe also fat is a feminist issue. But as a woman, we're valued by our looks. Is she pretty? Is she not pretty? This is why it's hard for America to have a female president. What is she supposed to look like? If she's too pretty, they think, oh, she can't be smart. She's too pretty. And if she's not pretty, all they think is, oh, she's not attractive, although she could be brilliant. So women are generally not valued by their intelligence or any other part of their personality and their inside, only by their outside, just as men are valued by their income potential. So I think this is why I was so focused on my outsides. I didn't think it was, I even tried to hide my intelligence because I thought I wouldn't be popular if people knew how smart I was. I didn't want to be like that nerd because that wasn't in back then. But things have changed, like you said. Now the beauty standard is different. But back in the 70s and the 80s, the skinnier, the better. There was that saying,
Yeah.
you could never be too rich or too thin. Nowadays, you still could never be too rich, but you can definitely be too thin.
Yeah, it's true. And even the girls today, they're still just as hard on themselves. So it's not, and that's where we get back to, like, it's not about really what's on the outside, right? It's about going inside, because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what anybody says. We have to feel good with who we are. We have to feel good about with ourselves, and I think that's the kind of work that you really care about.
Definitely. And before I became a doctor of Oriental medicine, I worked in the beauty field as a nail tech. And I saw the most incredible things because I worked with a lot of women. And there were a couple of women who came to me, and they were not thin by any means, not at all, but they were very well groomed, and they had the most amazing husbands. And I was like, this doesn't compute. How is that possible? But in the end, it's not only about how you look on the outside, it's about how you treat other people and how those other people feel being around you. And if you feel good about yourself, you can help other people feel good about themselves, and they'll enjoy your company.
Yeah, it's great that you bring that point, because, when somebody loves you, they love you. It doesn't matter if you're 300 pounds. It doesn't matter anything. They love you for you. And that's the kind of person you want in your life anyways. And these women were smart enough to pick men that loved them for their soul, for their spirit. It wasn't just about the body, because there's so much more to it than just the outside, right? And we have to give ourselves grace, because whether we even are at our ideal weight, right, we still may not, we still doesn't mean that we have everything that we want. It's not, it doesn't make us feel good just because we're at our ideal weight. It doesn't change, the kind of men that come into your life. It's more about, taking control of your life and feeling good about the person that you are. And then as you age, you'll age gracefully, and you'll feel good because you'll still see your value no matter how you change in life, because you're not going to stay 20 forever or 30 forever. You're going to have changes, but you can look good and feel good at every age, right?
Exactly, really at every age. And reaching and maintaining your healthiest body weight is something that a person should only do for themselves. Because at the end of the day, you put your head on your pillow and you have to be with you. And oftentimes, when people try to do things for other people, like if you have an addiction and you want to quit to please your partner or your family, it's never going to work. It's something one needs to do for themselves, I find, not to please others.
Yeah, and we need more support if we have more issues with that. Let's talk about emotional eating. I know that you dealt with that. Let's take them a little bit on a journey of your own emotional eating and how that made you feel and why you're so passionate about helping women with that emotional eating.
You know, when you go on social media, there's a ton of things, lose weight by doing this or don't eat that. But that's most of those things are like gimmicks. And if you're an emotional eater, none of that stuff is going to work because you're not eating because it's not because you have that one wrong food. It's because there's a void inside one is trying to fill. I'm speaking from my own experience, eating for other reasons than physical hunger.
And so many people eat like at night, like a lot of emotional eaters, like they might not even eat during the day, but at night they like binge eat or they like hide that they're eating, right? Because they feel shame about it.
It's I see it similar to an addiction. And when I started seeing my eating problem as an addiction, instead of I'm a bad person or I'm a weak willed person, that's when I actually started to heal. And I find the best way to treat emotional eating is to treat it like an addiction. Because how can people be good all day or stick to their food plan or not overeat all day long? And then at night when they're alone, suddenly,
Yeah,
you,
and it's the more it's don't you find that the more you think about a certain food, let's say you don't want to eat something, let's say a cake, the more you think cake, the more you want to eat cake. You know, it's like psychological. Like you're like, I'm not gonna eat that cake, I'm not gonna eat that cake, but cake's on your mind all day long. So I feel it's like, it's we have to kind of also reprogram our brain.
That's why diets don't work because they focus on deprivation and what you can't have, and they feel like a punishment. But when you focus on what you can have, foods that you really enjoy that don't trigger you to want to binge eat, then it makes things all that much easier, don't you think?
Yeah, for sure. I think it's about also replacing things. It's not about not eating for me. It's about how can I replace the things that are unhealthy with things I still enjoy that are maybe healthier choices. Do you think that makes a difference?
That makes a huge difference. In the in the Life Shifts Weight Wellness System, I have people identify certain trigger foods because it's besides being like an emotional aspect to overeating, there's also a physical aspect. Some people are triggered by too much sugar, just like an alcoholic. When they take that one drink, they get like this physical reaction that creates a craving and they just want more. So if you are triggered by, let's say, cake, and you want to avoid eating cake, it's great to have a substitute, something you enjoy, because if you don't enjoy eating, you're not going to stay with it very long, right?
Yes, definitely. And there's so many other options, right? You can make things healthier today, with cacao and there's just so many other options. So it's never about deprivation. It's about, putting things in that you'll enjoy and won't put the weight on you. And, and also learning some techniques to, like, what, one of the things that I do is when I see like a cake and I'll be like, I'll look at the cake and I'll be like, it looks good, but then I'll be like, I don't want to see that cake on my thigh or on my hips, you know? So it's like little things to like get me to think. Or what I'll do is I'll go to a party and if there's cake, I'll bring my own chocolate, like dark chocolate or something that I like that will be my dessert. So I don't have to, so it's not like I don't feel deprived. I just make different choices.
That sounds like a really good strategy. For instance, I can't eat sugar because sugar triggers me to want more sugar. So even at my wedding, I had two different cakes. I had a cake made by a health food store that didn't have sugar in it, and I had a regular cake that did. And most of the people at the party, even though they could eat one piece of regular cake without it triggering them, they all seemed to enjoy the healthy cake even more. Isn't that funny?
Yeah, that's amazing. But it's still cake,
It's
right?
still cake,
Yeah.
you know? Um, you can make a cake out of all kinds of healthy ingredients. There's almond flour, there's stevia. You know, you can have cake, but just not that cake with all the sugar and the chemicals. But also, like night eating, that is a thing. So, in the Life Shifts Way to Weight Wellness, I have people have a structured plan of eating. So they don't have to think, am I hungry? Am I not hungry? Should I eat this? Should I eat that? No. The whole goal is to stop thinking about food and weight as much as possible to get out of the whole obsession with food and weight. So just have a meal plan and stick to that and don't think about it so that your brain is free to think about the real issues in your life.
I love that you know they have their meal plan and it's very probably individualized for each person and they can just that's great and then they have a community that supports them as well.
Exactly, because when I was struggling with my eating problem back in the 70s, I felt so alone. I thought I was the only person on the planet with this problem. Back then, we didn't have that word eating disorder. And when I found out that other people had a similar problem, you know how much relief that already gave me? And I do have a community of people who have the same issue and they understand what I'm trying to achieve. And I can call them. I don't have to explain everything. They get it right away. And that's such a beautiful, supportive thing.
Yeah, that's great. You know, my mother, you don't know, but my mother-in-law she was an emotional eater. And if she went to a buffet, she had to have I mean, she couldn't help herself. It was like, and you could tell it was a real issue. She came from the Holocaust. So there was a component of that I'm sure kind of, you know, accelerated that kind of, you know, feeling of needing to eat and needing the food. But it was like, and then my dad, it's jumping to my dad, he was overweight, he was obese. Not that he cared, but he literally came to my fridge one time. He's no longer alive, and he took food out that wasn't even cooked and started eating it. Like there wasn't even this. So what I wanted to bring with all that, the reason I'm telling you those couple of things is because I think a lot of us eat very unconsciously. We're not present, and how important is it to be present, more present in your life? Because I think when we're emotional eating, we're totally not present.
Especially eating mindlessly in front of the TV and not being conscious of what you eat. It's I recommend that people really turn off the TV and sit at a table and really enjoy the food, try to chew at least 10 times for every bite instead of just scarfing it down like you've never eaten before. It's very important. I can't even imagine the PTSD around food that the Holocaust survivor, your mother in law, had. That must have been horrific.
Yeah, and she was young. She was young during the Holocaust, but it still affected her. So it's amazing. Even though she was like I think she was 4 or something, but I guess it's a foundational time in your life, and she was still really holding on to things. And it wasn't just food; it was also things. They hoarded and kept a lot of things, and I think that all came. That's all kind of connected. Would you think that's connected with kind of like holding on to things? Kind of needing to fill yourself all the time.
Have you ever heard anyone say the way you do one thing is the way you do everything?
Yes, of course.
I think that's the case. But I couldn't even imagine how it must have been to be 4 years old and be in a concentration camp. That's for a whole nother episode, but the
Yeah.
emotional scars that must leave. But a lot of people have emotional scars from being brought up in a dysfunctional family here in the United States these days. So those are things that are underneath the eating that we work out in the Life Shifts program also, because it is a multi-layered program. Because if you just focus on the diet or the exercise plan without cleaning up what's underneath there, it's not going to work. But on the other hand, if you only work on the emotional thing without putting the food in check, the emotional cleanse won't work because that person will always be escaping back into food instead of facing the feelings. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. It's all connected.
Exactly. So this is why the multi-layered lifestyle transformation is necessary, because working on one thing at a time, I believe, won't get you where you need to be to recover from emotional eating. It needs to, it's like plugging up multiple holes in a bucket. If you just plug up one, it's going to leak out of another. So that is why the Life Shifts Weight Wellness Program has 6 pillars to it.
Let's talk about the pillars in the program.
Okay. So the first pillar is, of course, some lifestyle elements. I'll just give you an example. So a lot of people who want to lose weight, they focus on that number on the scale, and they're constantly jumping on the scale, and they let that number determine how they're going to feel about themselves. If that number goes down, their self-esteem goes up temporarily, but if that number goes up, their self-esteem goes down. They make that scale into some sort of god and let it determine their self-esteem. So I help people let go of that scale and find a way to build healthy self-esteem without it being attached to what they weigh.
So we shouldn't look at the scale, would you say?
I recommend not more than once a month, because I believe in, instead of having number goals, have behavioral goals. Instead of like, I'm going to stay on a diet until I lose 15 pounds. No. I'm going to stick to my food plan, stick to my exercise plan, stick to my laundry and shopping schedule for the whole month. And whatever I weigh at the end of the month is what I weigh. But I'm proud of myself that I achieved my behavior goal instead of my number goal. Does that make sense?
I love that. So it's about consistency.
100% consistency.
Yeah, that's great. That's a great start. And what's the next step that you teach women?
So the next step is about fitness and exercise. Because actually, this is one of the most important things you can do for your health. And not only for your physical health, but for your mental health. Because often women who are emotional eaters have a slight bit of depression and anxiety going on. And exercise is an amazing non-pharmaceutical way to deal with depression and anxiety. But there are so many excuses that people have. Oh, I'm too busy, or I'm too overweight to even start. So I help people find things that they really enjoy doing in the exercise way and help them find a way to fit it into their busy schedule. Even if they're a new mom, there's always a way. If you really want it, there is a way.
I love that because I am very big into exercise, and to me, it's a non-negotiable. So I have to exercise. I'm actually going to exercise after this podcast, and I exercise at least 5 to 6 times a week. Because and if I don't exercise, I'll go for a walk, but I'll go to the gym, and I do classes because I like the energy of working out with other people. And I know it's like 1 hour, I go in and it's fun. And then the music is playing and you're working out with other people and the coach runs the class. And then before you know it, it's like over and and it feels good. You feel stronger, you feel better.
100%. First of all, you look amazing. I can tell by your physique, your beautiful skin, and your energy that you exercise. It makes such a difference. And 100% what you're saying about the group fitness thing, it's so much easier to do things together. We're so individualized in our society today. In the past, people would live in a big family home. And now we think it's great to have your own apartment where you live there by yourself or with one other person. But honestly, I believe that people were meant to live together. So group fitness, you show up because you know that class is starting at a certain time. You turn off your brain because there's somebody leading it. You just do what they say. And going consistently, you make new friends, right?
Yeah, it's great. I already met I just switched gyms that I've been going to, and I already met a few really nice women.
Amazing, right? You have Insta friends with something you have in common. You get to wear cute little outfits
I
And
just got new tights.
yay,
It's the little things that make you happy, you know.
right?
Yeah. But it's all good. You know what? It's really is, I don't know if you know that, but I love fashion too. And I just part-time work in this little really cute boutique that has really high, expensive kind of clothes. But, I work with women, around 60 years old and up that come and shop there. And I just work there like part-time, like 1 or 2 days a week. And you could just see how, women feel about themselves. And I think really like when you exercise, you feel better about yourself. It's psychological. Like you just feel better about yourself and you can enjoy more wearing different clothes because you just feel better. And it's like it's a mindset. Exercise is a mindset. It's much more than physical.
And also, if you're out exercising or at the gym, you're not alone at your house, tempted to eat whatever's in the refrigerator, right? And I can tell you, I moved to America 10 years ago from Europe. I didn't know a soul, not a soul, but there was a gym across the street from my house. So I started going there and I made friends with some people there. And through that, I have a whole circle of friends. And then I moved to Boca. And now through my other gym, I have more friends. And even if you don't see those people outside of the gym, when you go there, you're not alone. There's always somebody at the gym who wants to talk to you. So it's just so much better than sitting in your house by yourself.
Yeah, and my gym has like parties and costume parties and all kinds of things. So it's a community. It's not feeling alone because I think the worst thing, like you said, is isolating yourself because then you will eat more and you will feel bad and you will be more depressed because we all need each other and we can't, alone is not an option for real growth to me.
And that emotional eating, you could see that as a sort of goblin on your shoulder. And that goblin doesn't have your best will in heart. Actually, your goblin really is trying to destroy you. And the goblin wants you to be alone. But when you're out of your house and you're maybe at the gym or working a couple days a week, even if you don't need to, but just to be out of the house, your goblin goes into hiding. And I want to keep that goblin in hiding as much as possible. But sometimes that's why the night eating is so prevalent. When it's late at night and you're by yourself and you're tired, that goblin likes to come out and get you.
Yeah, probably a good thing. Do you tell women that you work with maybe to like go to sleep earlier or to go for a walk or drink some water, not to like turn to food right away? Or what's your advice for that?
Yes, I do tell them that sleep is really important. That is actually when you lose the weight, is when you're sleeping. And if you don't sleep enough, it's more tempting to overeat. We're like little babies, If you keep your child up too late, it's going to get cranky and it's going to want to eat something sugary. So I have the 3 B's that I tell people to help them go to sleep earlier. Do you want to know what they are?
Of course I do. I was gonna ask you.
Bedtime, bedroom, and briefing. So the 3 B's. So bedtime, it's super important to have a sort of bedtime ritual. You have to think of it like when you are done with your work for the day, you don't just yank the plug out of your computer and say, I'm done. You close off your programs, you save whatever you're working on. So to go to bed, it's good to have a ritual every night to kind of go to sleep.
Calm yourself down.
Exactly.
Kind of shift from where you are to where you're going.
Exactly. Like when an airplane is landing, it doesn't just boom,
No.
fall out of the sky. It has a whole landing procedure to land. So that's super helpful as a woman. Like before I go to bed, I have to feed my cats. I have to turn on the air conditioning. Then I have to brush my teeth, wash my face, do this.
We have a whole routine.
Exactly.
My husband's in bed already, and I'm still like, I gotta wash my face, and I gotta floss my teeth, and the whole 9 yards.
Especially because your husband's a dentist.
Yes, of course. Yes.
So having that bedtime routine is super important. The second one is the bedroom. It's nice to make your bedroom into some sort of sanctuary where you can sleep peacefully, like having those curtains that keep out the light, having, the right amount of pillows, having it at the right temperature. It's important to have your bedroom. So you want to have your head 4 degrees cooler than your body. If you have trouble sleeping, the first thing I recommend for people to do is check the temperature of their bedroom, especially here in South Florida, because if it's too hot, it's very hard to sleep.
I have a Sleep Number bed, and I was so hot. I was going through this, you guys. I'm so hot at night. So I got this like air thing that literally blows cold air into my mattress. So I can, because the Sleep Number has that temperature control, so I can make it hot or I can make my bed cold. Of course, I make it cold, but it's incredible. Like I can sleep better because I was too hot. I couldn't fall asleep. I was uncomfortable because we change with age. Like our hormones change, everything changes, and so yeah, I agree. The cooler, the better for me.
Yes, and that is a whole different topic about menopause. But yeah, you have to make your bedroom comfortable, just like a bird creates a nest to sleep in where you feel safe and comfortable and happy. And the third thing is briefing. That's the third B. Sometimes you have a lot of things going on if you have a busy life, and those things seem to swirl around in your head as you lay there. So I recommend keeping a notebook next to the bed where you can write down maybe the list of things you need to do tomorrow or the things that are worrying you. Because when you put them on that paper, they're there next to your bed and not in your head swimming around. So those are my 3 Bs.
Oh, I love that. That's
Thank you.
great. Yeah, any tools to help us, right, makes a huge difference.
Yes.
So that's great. So we talked about the exercise, and what's the next pillar after that that you encourage women to do?
The next one is mindset. Because a lot of people have really stinking, self-defeating thinking. I call it stinking thinking. And this makes them not want to try things because before they even do it, they think they're going to fail, which isn't always true. If you don't try, how are you going to ever know? So I help my clients through different techniques to change their negative thinking about themselves, about the world around them, into positive thinking. And the result is that they take more actions and get better outcomes in many other things in their life.
How do you do that? How do you help them with their thinking?
Well, one of them is with positive affirmations, of course. And for the positive affirmations, I have the 3 Ps.
Oh, I love that. That's great. What are the 3 Ps?
The 3 Ps for affirmation, they need to be positive, present tense, and personal. So you don't say, I'm going to be happy. No, because that's in the future. You say, I am happy. So that is positive and in the present tense. And maybe you've tried affirmations before, but they need to be something that is believable. Because if you say something and your subconscious says, oh no, I don't believe that, it's not going to work. Because the way affirmations work is when you really convince yourself that it is really achievable or that you already have it. Like with manifestation, I'll tell you a secret that's going to be on a podcast. Okay, my big secret. I dream of having a beach house. I want to live literally on the beach. I think that would be so much fun. But I don't have that house yet, physically. I'm not paying taxes on that house today, thank God. But I know someday I'm going to have a beach house. Like I feel in my soul, I already own a beach house. And by having that feeling, I know that someday that's going to happen. And I know that because I've done that with other things in my life. Before I ever moved to Boca Raton, Florida, I was living in the Netherlands, and I had a client who was a snowbird between where I lived in Europe and Boca Raton. And the second she said Boca Raton, I got this funny feeling in my tummy. And I was like, I want to be in Boca Raton. And how did I end up here? Here I am, because I knew. I just manifested it. And here I am. And I'm very happy that I'm here because I met you here too.
Yeah, and I love that. And I feel like that what you're saying is all connected to your gratitude too.
100%. Gratitude is the key to manifestation. And when people say gratitude, you might think, "Ugh, not gratitude again." But you can't get more of the things you want until you're grateful for what you already have.
And it's not even just gratitude, it's the energy that comes with gratitude. Gratitude has an amazing energy, and it's not an energy of stuck, it's an energy of flow. So when you're grateful, you're flowing towards what you want. So be grateful because everything changes with your gratitude. Have a grateful heart, I always say.
Exactly. And this can tie back into women and their body image and their weight. If you're constantly, I hate my body, I hate my legs, blah, 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 that will keep you stuck in your weight loss journey. By being grateful for the health that you have and the body that you have, because your body is actually just the container of your soul, that will help you have a healthier body. And self hatred never got anybody anywhere, and neither does beating yourself up.
And do you know how many people that don't have limbs would give anything to have your legs? Let's talk about that. I mean, come on. I mean, we beat ourselves up. God gave us legs. Like, we have an image of what we think things should look like, but God gave you a body. Like, you're so blessed. Like, so many people don't have all their limbs and don't have, their body intact, and they would give anything to just have legs, no matter if they were perfectly the way you think they should be or not. So that puts it in perspective for me to be even more grateful for my body, because it's not about perfection. It's about the fact that it functions every day in this world, and I can do the things that we take for granted. What if I couldn't, do those things? How would that make me feel? Then I think I would really be could really change the way I feel about myself, right? I mean, just the fact to have a working, healthy body is like such a gift from God.
100%. So when I was studying to be an acupuncturist, I was teaching fitness to people with Parkinson's disease. And I was struggling. And as a student, I was struggling and I was new to the United States. And when I felt so grateful and I could forget my own problems when I was there with the people with Parkinson's, because I was like, what am I complaining about? Like, I don't have Parkinson's. I'm healthy. Everything works. My arms work. My legs work. My face works. Everything works. My brain works. And so I loved working with them because it helped me be more grateful. And by helping other people, you forget yourself. And because part of the problem is self-obsession. And the only way to get out of that is actually to help others.
Yeah, and it's perspective, right? Wayne Dyer says when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. And it's so true, because we just have to change perspective, because we are so blessed, each one of us. We're here, and we're so blessed. And if we can be more aware of this present moment and the gifts in this present moment and not focus on all the negativity, it shifts our lives.
And why focus on the things that you can't change? If everyone just took care of their own front yard,
Their own grass.
if you just weed your own grass and you take care of your own lawn, if everybody took care of their own lawn, didn't bother with other people's lawns, stayed with their own lawn, put their energy into their own lawn, what a beautiful place this would all be.
Yeah, absolutely, because the grass grows where I am, right?
Yes,
Yeah, it doesn't grow anywhere else. So being more just nurturing your own life makes a huge difference.
for sure.
Yeah, I love this. And let's talk about some of the other things, some of the other pillars that we're talking about.
So the next pillar after the mindset is family. And what I mean with family is relationships. So a pattern I've noticed with people who have emotional eating issues is they also have boundary setting issues.
Wow, really? I never thought about that. I want to hear more about that.
Yeah, some people get that from like their family, But being able to set healthy boundaries is super important. But it's sometimes challenging because we all want everyone to like us all the time, and we think if we say no to somebody, they're not going to like us. But what I've discovered, if you say no, people respect you. And what would you rather have, Noah? People like you or people respect
I
you?
want people to respect me. I used to want people to like me. Now I want people to respect me because I feel like if they respect me, eventually they will like me. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't go the other way around. But if they don't respect me, they're going to try to take advantage of me. And I rather, stay kind, but also be respected. And my husband respects me. So why wouldn't I want to be around people that respect me?
Exactly. So a lot of people think that when you say no, you're being aggressive. But there's definitely a difference between being aggressive and assertive. So I help people learn to be more assertive and stand up for themselves and say no when they mean no. Because could you imagine a scenario when you're afraid to say no to people and you're doing things that you actually don't want to do and you build up this huge resentment against those people? And what happens when you have a resentment against people? You're angry at them. And that is the perfect excuse to go and eat at them, if you get what I'm saying.
Of course.
So instead of dealing with your anger, if you have emotional eating, you go and hide in secret and you start eating because you're frustrated and angry and you can't handle people. And people are everywhere. So I help these women break that cycle because hiding and eating also makes your self-esteem go even lower if that's possible. So I help them learn how to set healthy boundaries because there's an art to it. And I want people to feel confident doing it.
It took me a long time, I have to be honest, to set healthy boundaries. Because I've always been such a kind person. I always want to like do things for other people, and people took advantage of that. So I had to learn for myself, and by setting boundaries, I feel like I'm a better person, and I definitely feel that it made a difference how I feel about myself.
Exactly. And when you can set healthy boundaries, you can start having healthy relationships. And some people who might have come from a dysfunctional background with emotional, physical abuse, they don't have to repeat those patterns generationally. Did I say that right? And they can start having a functional family of their own. And another pillar besides family is taste, which has to do with what we're putting in our mouths. So a lot of people think to lose weight, you need to go on some calorie restrictive diet or keto or cut carbs or whatever. But I think the problem with most people is they tend to binge eat, right? So I help people identify what their binge trigger foods are, what their sometimes trigger foods are, and what their healthy foods are. And I do this. I have a booklet, so people can go to my site and get that booklet. And it's called the Stoplight Booklet. So we help identify what their red light foods are and what their green light foods are, and we make a sort of food plan, not a diet, but a way of eating, a sustainable way of eating that they never have to diet again, and that their bodies just automatically over time just achieve their healthiest body weight. And the obsession with what should I eat? Yes, no. I went off my diet. All that brain energy is gone. All that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. You create a structure behind things so people have more clarity on things, and the more clarity you have, the better you can do, right, with your plans or what thing you want to follow. Because if there's no plan, they say, I love that saying, make a plan or plan to fail. You have to have a plan in place, and you're putting all the structures in place to help them succeed.
Exactly. And that is the next pillar. That is the structure. So there's a lot that needs to be done to be consistent with all the new healthy habits and all the new shifts. For instance, going to the grocery store and then food prepping and going to the gym and when am I going to do my laundry, all this stuff. So In the Life Shifts Weight Wellness Program, we have the Gleams Daily Themes Planner. It's a planner, like a year-long thing, but it's broken down also into having like a year goal, monthly goals, weekly goals, and to-do lists. So it makes it like super easy, and you don't have to figure that all out yourself. I'm here to help people structure their time so that they can be consistent and get real results.
No, that's great. I love the structure. I think it makes a huge difference for success in anything you do.
Well, when I was a kid, because I was born in the 60s and grew up in the 70s, and I was like one of those latch door kids with a key. Well, they didn't even lock the door back then. But I had so much freedom. You think if you have all this freedom, life must be great. But look, I turned out really unhappy because I had too much freedom. And when I finally started having structure in my life, I felt like I had more freedom because I knew when the necessary things needed to get done, and I knew when I had free time to do the things, the really fun things I wanted to do. So having freedom may look different than people think.
Yeah, and structure gives you more control over yourself, over your mind, over your, it doesn't cause chaos and confusion, you know? And I think that's like a big takeaway. And you're right, like kids need structure, right? We think kids don't need structures, but really, if you don't structure a kid's life now, when they're young, you're going to be trying to structure them for the rest of their lives because it's much easier to do it early on than to try to structure them later because then they have all those other things and noise that they can't get away from. So setting the structure early in life is also safety. Safety for yourself, safety for your kids. I really am a strong believer in structure. And that is something that was missing when I raised my kids. I was like a free for all. I was very much into love, not very much into structure. But I understand how if I had to change some things, I would have put the structure in because I really realized how the structure makes a huge difference because it's huge. It's really huge for success.
It is. You know, I used to live in the Netherlands, and they say what children need are three things. I'm going to say it in Dutch: rust, reinheid, and regelmaat. And I'll translate it. Rust is rest, but this is the only children who need that. We adults need that, right? Regelmaat means regularity, so having a structure. And reinheid is cleanliness, so keeping your environment clean.
I love that. I think that's just simple and to the point.
Exactly, and it's super effective, and it's part of what I teach in the Life Shifts program. If you come to my reset retreat,
Let's talk about your reset retreat because that sounds really deep. So I want to hear more about that.
so it's a 4-day retreat here in Boca Raton where we go through the whole Life Shifts program. So I can't keep it a surprise if I tell it here on the webinar, but one of the first exercises I have people do is take their purse and dump it out and then throw out everything they don't need and reorganize it and put it back. And you know how much people's self-esteem raises by just this one simple exercise? Like a lot. And throughout the program, I have people do this through their whole house and their whole life. Because even if you don't feel good about yourself, if your environment is organized and clean, you're automatically going to feel better. So it's one of my tools. But the Reset Retreat is a 4-day event that happens every other month in beautiful Boca Raton. So if you live out in the Midwest and you want to escape that terrible winter and come to paradise for 4 days, you're more than welcome. And
Where do you do it at?
at the hotel, the Westin Hotel in Boca.
Oh, nice.
It's a beautiful hotel.
That's nice.
And we do things like some meditation, some affirmations, and I guide people through some of the more intense writing exercises. And it's very private, so whatever you say there stays there. Actually, the whole Life Shifts program is very low key. We don't make anybody's information public because it's a very safe environment.
No, I think that's really nice that you do those in-person events as well to kind of get a jump start into your life.
Yes, because some people are just so lost. I try to think I wasn't the only one who was so lost and would have needed a 4-day intensive reset to reset my mind, to learn some new structures and have some takeaways that I can bring back into my daily life so that I can change. Because even just one little change can change so many other things. Like throwing a little rock into a pond, it can have a huge effect in a positive way. And at the retreat, we weed out what are some of the negative things that you're doing that are self-sabotaging, that you could just change this one little thing, and it would already have a huge effect in your life. Wouldn't that be beautiful? And a lot of people have their own blind spots. They don't see what they're doing. And there's also denial. So by coming to the retreat and seeing other people like yourself, it's kind of like everybody's a mirror for everybody else. And you're like, what are they doing? And you think, hey, do I do that too? So it's a very healing 4 days.
Yeah, it sounds incredible. Um, so I wanted to ask you, um, as far as sharing some stories of clients that you worked with and some of the shifts they were able to make, I'm sure you have some great stories.
I have a couple of stories. Uh, well, let me tell you about my client, Anna. So, Anna works in the IT. She's 43 and blonde, and she's actually very, very attractive and very smart. And she has a family, and she works from home a lot. So, she's alone a lot because her kids go to school, her husband goes to work. So, she came to my retreat because she couldn't stop eating and she wanted nothing more than to lose weight because it was really affecting her health and her self-esteem. So actually, Anna was from Croatia. So in Croatia, when you want to lose weight, what they say is just eat salad. So this was her go-to method, but it didn't seem to be working. So Anna's usual thing was she'd be home working and she'd have a salad for lunch, she'd have a salad for dinner, and that would go on for a couple of days until she got too hungry. And what would happen? She'd think, what the heck is in the refrigerator? There was a pie in the refrigerator. So she would be like, oh, I'm so hungry. I need something because I can't concentrate on my work and I have a deadline. So she'd go and have a slice of sliver of the pie. And then she'd go back to work. 10 minutes later, she'd go and have another sliver of the pie. Go back to work. An hour later, she went and ate the entire pie. And afterwards, she felt really like she hated herself. And why did I do that? I want nothing more than to lose weight. And her family, when they came home, they're like, where's the pie? And she was so ashamed that she ate the entire thing. So she wanted to stop this cycle. So I taught Anna the system of now. I told you about now.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about that. So let's hear about now.
Now. So the point of power is always in the now, says Louise Hay. But now stands for nourish wisely, on time eating, and walk away. Did everybody get that? Did you guys?
Say it one more time.
So I'll let them grab a little piece of paper because you might want to write this down. N stands for nourish wisely. O stands for on time eating. And W stands for walk away. So what do I mean by nourish wisely? I mean it's important to put the right kind of fuel in your body. If you put the wrong kind of fuel, it's not going to work. Imagine that your body is like an expensive sports car, right? Like a Ferrari. If you put the wrong kind of gas in the tank, what's going to happen? The car's not going to run. It's going to break down. If you don't put enough gas in the tank, the car also won't run. And if you put too much in, it's going to overflow and ruin your beautiful Ferrari red paint job. So it's important to put the right kind of fuel in your body, which is slow burning carbohydrates, protein, vegetables, and not a Snickers bar. So the next one,
Not a pie.
not a pie, unless you made it yourself. and it has beautiful, healthy ingredients.
But you still don't want to eat the whole pie, right? Even if it's healthy, or it's once at least.
If that's your meal, I don't know. I wouldn't recommend it,
Yeah.
but
But definitely when you eat stuff that's bought, you never know what's in it anyways. You never know what the ingredients are, and most of us, a lot of us don't even read. Like we go to a party, there's cake there or pie. We don't know what's in it.
yeah, you don't know what's in it. But more, it's like you don't want to break a promise to yourself. If you told yourself, I'm only going to eat a quarter of that pie, you want to be able to trust your own word, right?
Yeah. And so that's the N. What's the O stand for? How do you teach her the O?
So the O is on time eating. So I recommend that people don't go more than 6 hours during waking hours without eating. Because if you get too hungry, the next time you get to eat, you're going to tend to overeat. And if you're too hungry, you might be grabbing for the wrong foods, like your trigger foods, and it's just going to become a disaster. So you could think of it like a child. When you have a toddler, you have to feed them at regular intervals because if you don't, they're going to have a meltdown. And we adults are actually just big children, right? So that's why on-time eating is super important. Also avoids having tummy aches from eating too much. So does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely.
So the W, the walk away. So what I mean is when you see your trigger foods, walk away. And after a while, this will just become a normal thing. Like when I see cake, which I can't eat because it triggers me, it doesn't even come into my mind to eat that. I'm like, oh, cake, okay, not for me. It's just not for me. And they can offer it to me 100 times and the answer is going to be the same. No, thank you. And
How were you able to get to that point where you're like, no, thank you to the cake? Because I'm sure at some point you loved eating cake, right?
I did, but I love my healthy new life and everything that comes along with it way more. And I'm not about to give it up for a piece of cake.
Okay, so you set healthy boundaries with yourself.
Yes. And that cake used to be more tempting when I didn't follow the N and the O, like the on-time eating. Imagine a cake there and I'm super hungry. It's going to be hard to say no to that cake. But if I stick to my meal plan and I've eaten on a regular interval, I'm not physically hungry. So it makes it so much easier to say no to that cake. I'm like, no, thank you. I just ate. Or I'm going to eat my healthy meal with foods that I love in an hour. So I don't need to eat that because I know what happens if I take that first taste of that frosting. I'm going to take another one, and I'm going to want to eat that whole cake, but I can't because there's people around. So that's when let's say my drug addict behavior with food kicks in. So I'll excuse myself, oh, I got to go home, and I'll go to the supermarket on the way home or whatever, and I'll go and buy my own cake plus some other stuff, and I'll hide in my room and I'll eat that. And then I'll be so mad at myself that I'll be like, I got to get rid of this. And that's when really sick behavior like self-induced vomiting, laxatives, compulsive exercising come in, or just even not eating for the next 3 days.
So you had to train yourself.
Yes.
And now you're helping others, which is like perfect because there's so many women out there that need the help. And through your own struggles, you now can help others heal themselves as well. It became your purpose.
It's my superpower. Yeah. And I love to help other people because nobody should have to suffer the way I did with an eating disorder. And even if you don't officially have an eating disorder, nobody should have to struggle with feeling like a societal outcast because of their weight. I want every woman to feel great about themselves.
I love that, and I love your work. Any last words, because we're running out of time, that you wanted to say? Like, where can people find you, connect with you, work with you, be a part of your retreats?
Thank you. LifeShiftsWellness.com. LifeShiftsWellness.com.
So they just look that up. Is that your website also?
Yes.
Okay.
And you'll find links. You can download the Kickstart program, And there is a whole webinar if you want to learn more. If you liked what you heard here, there's a lot more in the webinar. And it's all at lifeshiftswellness.com. You can even call me at 561-413-4799. Or you can send me an email at Abbey, that's ABBEY, at lifeshiftswellness.com.
Wow, they're so blessed. They even get your phone number. I love that.
Call me.
She's there for you 100%. Well, thank you so much. This has been so incredible, and I'm so grateful that we connected, and we're going to be doing so many great things together, and you're going to be continue helping so many women that need your help. So I hope you really enjoyed this time together.
Thank you. I did, Noah. I really did. Thank you for inviting me, and I love what you do also, and I think together we're strong.
100%. I want to thank you all for joining me today at the World Healing Tour podcast. Until next time, as I always say, remember to practice these 3 important elements. Element number 1, every day remember to have a grateful heart and connect to your gratitude. When you're connected to your gratitude, you are connected to positive feelings and positive emotions, and therefore drawing more positive people, things, and experiences into your life. Number 2, remember every day to ground in love and compassion. First, love and compassion for yourself, because we all need more love and compassion. And then share that love and compassion with others. By sharing that love and compassion with others, you will get an abundance of love and compassion in return. That's how it works. The more you put out, the more you get in return. And element number 3, remember, you're not alone on this journey. This is a guided journey. I say guided by God. Whether it's God, universe, higher power, whatever it is for you, just know you're not alone. God will send messages and messengers just for you to help guide you on the journey. You just have to learn to turn off the noise in the outside world and learn to listen to your own inner compass. Until next time, my friends, have a beautiful week. Thank you for joining me today. Namaste.
Namaste.
The World Healing Tour Movement with your host, Noah Crane. Heal yourself, heal the world.